as we do when any of the great prophets, including Jesus Christ and his blessed Mother Mary, are mentioned, Muslims pray for them. So it's not like it could be maybe disconcerting for people who are not familiar with that, but that's what Muslims are doing. And Muslims are supposed to do it every time you hear the name of the prophet. And it's not praying to the prophet, but praying for the prophet. So praying to God for the prophet. That God bless him and act in peace. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Peace be upon him. And that's on the theoretical way, but really, because it has all of these different implications in how we think, how we behave, and how we love, and who we love, and what we love. And that's kind of what I wanted to begin with tonight. There's a beautiful narration that's found in many of the authentic collections of hadith. Hadith is a report about the Prophet, a narration about Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And there's a narration found in several different authentic books of hadith where the Prophet is reported to have said, I was made to love three things from your world: perfume, women, and prayer. And there's a number of subtleties to this narration. The first thing is that the Prophet didn't say, I have loved. He said they were made beloved to me. So there's a passive verb here. It's very important. And again, when we study language and understand language, it's very important to understand the implications that a given linguistic nuance can have to the meaning of what we're saying. So he says, Hubbiba ilayya. They were made beloved to me. Three things, min dunyakum, from your world. So he doesn't say, I love three things of the world, but three things were made beloved to me from this world of yours. So from the outset, before he even states what they are, there's this ever-present sense of prophetic devotion to God, even as it pertains to mundane things of the world. Are you all following me? So before he even states what they are, he's like, look, I like these things, but I'm not attached to them. Or rather, that they're not coming from a capricious place, that they're not from an egotistical place, right? But they're from a very deep prophetic place. And the first thing he says is perfume. And that's interesting for a number of reasons. There's a bunch of different narrations that are, again, good narrations, where they say that the companions of the Prophet used to actually take his sweat and would add it to perfume to make the perfume more potent. In other words, his natural scent, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, was perfume-like. It smelled good. Anas ibn Malik, who was a younger companion, he says, I never touched silk or brocade or anything softer than the palm of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, in the palm of the Messenger of God. And I never smelled musk or anything sweeter than the scent of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And Anas doesn't say, I never smelled musk like the musk that the Prophet wore. He says, I never smelled musk that was sweeter than the scent of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Meaning his natural smell was good. Peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. And that's because God perfected both his meaning and his form. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So when he says that he loves perfume, it was narrated that if the Prophet patted the boy on the head, that you could smell the scent for a day or 2 days after that from the smell of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Now sometimes you shake a brother's hand and you can smell it for a couple of days, hopefully it smells good. Right? But that's usually, because you put on cologne, perfume on his hand. You know what I mean? Not because that's not his natural scent, but that's the natural scent of the Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. And then if he passed down a roadway, you knew that he passed down that road because you could smell him. In other words, they could distinguish the smell of the Prophet from the smell of other people. Are you all following me? So he was naturally perfumed. Imagine a human being that was naturally perfumed. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And with all of that, he says that he loves perfume. So not from a place of need, but from a place of recognition that perfume is a virtuous thing. And there's an important point here. Good perfume, if you put it on, you shouldn't be able to smell it on yourself. It's actually in the science of perfume, if you put it on and you can still smell it, that's not the right perfume for you. Right? I mean, if you maybe, right, but you can smell it, But if you can just put it on, you can just smell it, it's pervasive, it's not good for from the perspective of the science of perfume. So what does that have to do with it? He loves perfume not for himself, but because in wearing perfume is a charity for other people. Right? And this is very important, and this is an important lesson too for those of us that are new to Islam. They say that cleanliness is next to what? Godliness. And the Prophet said, Islamu nadifun fatanaddafu. Islam is clean, so cleanse yourselves. Be clean, people. فَإِنَّهُ لَا يَدْخُلُ الْجَنَّةَ إِلَّا النَّظِيفُ. For indeed only the cleansed shall enter paradise. Now, we know that this doesn't mean that if a person was, they had a job that, whatever, they got dirty, or if a person lived in the desert or forest or whatever, who lives in the forest? But you know what I'm saying? If they got dirty, it doesn't mean that. It means that a person strives their best to maintain cleanliness, and ultimately, that cleanliness outwardly is followed by cleanliness of the heart. So cleanliness is exogenous, and this pertains to a number of different levels. Number one, how your clothes, how your body smells. And I'll tell you, and this is a piece of advice, you can't usually smell the scent of your own home on yourself. So if you're not careful, you'll be walking around smelling like mama's kitchen, and you don't know it. So brother goes to hug you, and when he makes that face like, whoa, it's not because... It's because you had your coat hanging too close to the door of the kitchen, right? You should not put your clothes where there's going to be food cooking, because then you walk away smelling, like you work in McDonald's or whatever. It's a bad look. So how your clothes smell, you should try to keep your clothes smelling good in how you smell. And the Prophet perfumed himself regularly and commanded his followers to perfume not only themselves, but their places of prayer. And it's strange now that people see this, where the oud is burning, and they think it's like some weird technique innovation. It's in Sahih Bukhari. You talk about the Sunnah. It's in rigorously authenticated collections of hadith that Umar would burn oud every Friday in the mosque. And that the Prophet said, burn incense in your mosque. And I was like, oh, that's a Sufi thing, right? Hey, if it's a Sufi thing, call it what you want to. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a Sunnah of the Prophet to perfume your places of prayer. Like Uncle Ibrahim was saying last week, went into a mosque and it smelled so much like bleach, people could barely pray. Right? You do the bleach and the pine sol before people come. You don't just kind of dump it in the hallway, right? Your place of prayer should smell good.